Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It's Geoff, Mosher, and Adam Caplan. Inside the Birds, middle of the week. It's a tape review podcast. However, we got a lot more than just some tape breakdown from the Eagles-Packers game. We have a big quarterback change that we anticipated coming. We'll talk about it. We will get into the Eagles-Packers and the tape breakdown on both, what we saw from Carson Wentz, and, of course, Jalen Hurts, who is going to be the starting quarterback this Sunday and probably longer than that for the Eagles against the Saints, Adam. You know, it's just like, hey, why don't we just throw you right to the Wolves there? It's just the New Orleans Saints, right?
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about it on our Monday morning show, we both anticipated that it would be Jalen Hurts, and we knew that this is not the week to do it. You'd rather do it during the bye, but it had to happen. I mean, it would have been a major upset if Wentz was going to start. I just couldn't see any I couldn't see, as one veteran player told me, I was getting information for our Monday night show at the Fanatic in Philly, and this veteran who played in the league said, listen, you just can't sell it to us. You can't sell it to veterans. It wasn't an Eagles player. It was a guy who played in the league. Because there's no way you could sell it to them the way that the kid was playing. I was like, you're right. I get it. I mean, I didn't play, but I exactly what you're saying, because you know this, Geoff, from talking to so many players over the years. Players know. They see it. They're in practice. They see it at the games. They watch the tape. They're around the guy. They may love Carson, but they know that he's hurting the football team. He's got to be benched. And it was what I called a painfully easy decision. You hate to do it, but you have to do it. The call is easy. The fact that you have to do it is very painful.
Yeah, and to reiterate for anybody who listened to our last podcast but did not hear me on with you last night, Monday night on the Fanatic, I had a change of heart. If you're a loyal podcast listener and you didn't hear our Fanatic show from 6 to 8 p.m. every Monday night, then you're probably thinking, wait a minute, Geoff, I thought you were not in favor of a quarterback change. But I slept on it for a while. I had a lot of thought, and I'll just repeat what I had said. I'm kind of too guilty of trying to compare the 2008 benching of McNabb to this year. And Andy Reid made it very clear that year he was just giving Donovan a little bit of a step back. It was only a 2 or 3 game funk that Donovan was really in. And prior to that, Donovan had some great games. In fact, I think they were top 5 scoring even at the time of his benching. So this is a totally different situation. And I woke up and I'm like, you know what? Just missing a little bit of a second half of a game is not going to fix Carson Wentz overnight. This is not just to sit back and decompress. You made a great point, and you're correct about it. Carson needs to be repaired. He needs a lot of time with coaches. He needs to be receptive to the coaching, and he needs a whole lot of work. So right now the best thing, and I agree, is to sit back, let Jalen Hurts take over for now, and when you have the real time, which is the offseason, to work with Carson, and hopefully that they'll able to have a normal offseason, then you start the rebuild and the reconstruction, and of course we'll get into who's doing that, right? Who's helping him? Who's coaching him?
Yeah, we'll do that in January. I mean, I know we saw a lot of questions on social media about the future and all this. The way we do it, folks, if you're new to our show, we deal with everything at the appropriate time. Once the season's over, which we assume that they're not going to go to the playoffs, we will cover everything. Now, we do it in increments. We'll start free agency stuff in February. Coaching changes, we expect some at the very minimum. There's got to be something. You can't go back to the offense has been obviously shockingly bad. No one saw this coming. And we said this repeatedly for 2 months now. When the owner's not happy, things happen. We used the last 2 years, particularly last year, when he was involved in 2 firings. So we expect the same or restructure. Who the hell knows? Anyway.
There'll be change.
Right. At the appropriate time, we'll hit on that. The Carson contract, folks, there's nothing to say. They're not trading him, so they can't. The cap hit's too big, and I'm still a Carson believer, despite my criticism the last 3 months, really all season. I'm still a believer, and you never go up on talent. You just don't. You get the right coaches working with them. Now, if they can't reach them, then you got a problem. You have a problem now. Then you have a point of no return. But I still believe this kid is worth saving. It's not just the contract. The kid is an elite talent. He's playing like, I won't say the word, but it is what it is, and they got to reach the kid. You can't give up on him.
I agree with you. I wrote this in my InsideTheBirds.com column, on which I wrote why you need to go forward with Jalen Hurts right now. And part of what I've said is articulating what you said, is that it seems like it's been an eternity. It seems like this season has felt like 5 years of bad offensive play. But if you just go back to December 8th of last year, I believe that's Carson Wentz beating, they're coming off the Miami loss, and he just turns it around and they go undefeated. So you're not even a full year removed from Carson playing some good enough football to win games and get the team back into the division. Unfortunately, you and I thought that was something, because we both acknowledged that he was not perfect in December. He didn't throw any interceptions, but he was not a perfect quarterback, but he was good enough to win. And
so he played solid. He played
right, and you wanted to build on that, right? You wanted the new coaches to come in and work with him and be able to capitalize, and instead it went the opposite direction. So I
missed something. See, I thought you just outlined it very well. I thought he'd build off of those Final Four games where he made these scrubs players, Robert Davis and Marcus Green and all these guys who shouldn't have been on the roster, but they had to be because of all the injuries they had. And Greg Ward obviously was amazing. They had great chemistry together. And Carson was playing a pretty solid football. But then, as time would go on here, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, okay, we're in the second part. We're in the season. They hire these new coaches. I'm thinking, well, they're going to bring in all these new ideas. But I clearly, my mistake was thinking that in a COVID offseason, you could get this offense rolling like it needs to get rolling. I underrated how significant not having a real offseason would be for not only Wentz and his new coaches. That's something I've learned, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way you would know it, but when you're bringing so many different voices and knowing the criticism I've had for Pederson now for 3 years, how bad he is at coaching his coaches, this is what you have.
Yeah.
You got.
Yeah, it's a big mess, and I'm not going to foreshadow the entire show, but we'll talk a little bit about Jalen Hurts, and we'll get to the breakdown in a minute. But I'm not expecting, and this has nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. I guess this would be any quarterback who's taking spot. I'm not expecting a finger snap and a great offensive showing against a really good Saints defense, and then even a pretty decent Cardinals defense. Their DVOA is better than their actual ranking, whatever you want to take from the analytics.
From the Football Outsiders. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I know a D coordinator who loves their stuff. I've always liked those guys, but people really use in the NFL use DVOA. So
they do.
So I would take it seriously. It's a good metric,
right? So I'm not expecting a whole lot of difference unless Doug Pederson himself decides to change some things that I'm going to talk about later in this podcast that really stuck out to me against the Packers. So we'll get into that. But I do think this, Adam, and I think you agree, Jalen Hurts, we expect some struggling. It would be nice if he doesn't struggle, but you can't start playing the yo-yo game here. It's got to be, I think, a Jalen Hurts operation for the rest of the season, see what the kid has. Again, let Carson kind of just take this step back and really get it out of his head and work with him all through offseason. You can't be putting Carson in if you're down by 14 points in the third quarter on Saturday or Sunday against the Saints. I don't think that's productive for either of them.
Yeah, I agree. You got to leave him in. You got to leave Hurts in. I don't care what the score is. You got to leave him in. Maybe 2 bad games in a row. Now the following week, are they at the Cardinals?
Yeah, it goes Saints, Cardinals, and then I think it finishes off with, is it Dallas, Washington, or Washington, Dallas?
I will look as you say it. I believe
I want to say Dallas, Washington, but it
is Washington then Dallas.
Oh man.
No. I'm sorry. I'm looking at Washington's schedule here. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Eagles, Washington week 17, so it's Dallas week 16.
Yeah.
You'd like to get to Dallas because their defense is so bad.
Right.
But look,
although their defense has played a lot better, by the way, since
but it's well, they were terrible in Thanksgiving. You were right; they were playing actually a lot better. And then Antonio Gibson came along.
Yeah, that was a 41-point game, but they scored. Didn't they have a touchdown return at the end? And I thought maybe
the run defense was horrendous. They gave up some big long runs.
Right, but you remember. Let's be fair to the defense there, though. Mike McCarthy goes for 4th and 1 on his own 20. They don't get it. I mean, it's hard for the defense to come out there and make a stop.
But look, the fact of the matter is, we'll get into the matchup one for Friday's show because I've got some good notes for that one, based on what I think people have told me in terms of what they might try to do against New Orleans, because New Orleans' defense is so good. But this past game, the thing that I would definitely start over. We'll get it. I mean, we've talked about the Hurt stuff. There's really not much else to say.
Well, I'm just real quick. I'm wondering if you've spoken to some people around the league at all, and if they felt like this was coming and this is the right move.
Yeah, everyone said he had to do it. It's funny you say that because I thought for sure to say, "Oh, you can't do this. This is your franchise quarterback." Even it's so funny. Coaches who don't, they can't follow the Eagles because they're coaching their team. They know how bad Wentz has been. They totally get it. They're like, look, guys who don't even coach quarterbacks are telling me, man, everything I'm reading because they don't know, and maybe they know some guys with the Eagles. Sounds like he needed to be benched for the sake of himself. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly right. He's hurt the football team. It's not just all on him. It's coaches have not done a good job with him. We've outlined that. As much as I hate criticizing coaches, it's our job to call it like it is. And we don't yell, we don't scream, we don't call people to get fired. We just tell you this is what's probably going to happen. This may not happen. This is what we see. This is what we hear. And Pederson made it clear that he is not. He wouldn't say. He told our friend Dave Spadaro from PhiladelphiaEagles.com in his interview that he wouldn't go as far as to say it was the rest of the season. Just said that he told both quarterbacks Monday night, and they announced it Tuesday, and the scouting report, on Hurts is a guy that you're definitely going to go back to. We'll give you a little bit of hint on our Friday show. I talked to one quarterback's coach that doesn't know Wentz's game very well, but he actually interviewed Hurts at the Combine, I think, because they couldn't do it in person after that. Remember, the COVID got shut down after the Combine.
Right.
He said he's plays with a chip on his shoulder. Has a ton of respect because he got that crap knocked out of him at Oklahoma apparently last year. Took a lot of hits. Absolutely will run RPOs with him. Absolutely. He said this is what he excelled at.
Right.
And he's got he called him a plus arm, not a plus plus. A plus plus is Wentz's arm.
Yes.
Below that is Hurts. Now I was at the Senior Bowl. He did not look good at all. He's an over the top thrower. But he has juice. When his mechanics are good, he'll throw with velocity, and that thing comes out. And we're going to get into the tape because I got two people who loved his touch. Actually, two. The 39-yarder to Rager.
That was nice. Yeah,
foot hit the ground, ball out, great throw, and we'll get into that route. Was terrific by Rager.
Yeah,
and the throw to Ward was great. I mean, I understand he came off the bench, and the Eagles the Packers had a big lead. They were playing their dime defense. I get all that, but whatever the case may be, you got to give the guy credit for the throws. That's going to be a lot harder this week, though. The Packer defense is bend and don't break. They underachieve severely on defense.
Right,
folks. The Saints are no joke. It's one of the most undercovered stories is how great the Saints defense is.
No doubt about it. There's a lot of good stuff to hear about Jalen Hurts taking over and the Carson Wentz benching from other ITB shows, including Tales from the Blind Side. You could hear Trey Thomas, Jamal Jackson, and Todd Harriman's chop it up on what went down Sunday against the Packers. And I thought it was really fascinating stuff because those guys were all on the 2008 team when Donovan got benched, so they were able to kind of tap into
I got to hear this.
Yeah, their own experiences. It was a really good show. And, of course, Trey Thomas and Derek Gunnar will be out on Thursday with Grilling the Birds, and they'll go through that from their vantage point as well.
Yeah, D-Gun lived that. You guys, when you were at Comcast Sportsnet together, I mean, you guys were all over that thing, man.
Yeah, although in 2008 I was still with Wilmington.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. You told us last show. But
yeah,
D-Gun had to be as a guy who would travel with the team, and you did as a beat reporter.
That's right.
But, again, you guys lived that thing. In fact, you remember – your detail is so great. You remember everything. I don't remember – I didn't know that because I remember when the Eagles absolutely embarrassed the Cardinals on that Thursday night because the Cardinals had to travel on a short week.
Right.
And Kurt Warner, I think he said it was his worst game as a Cardinal. But that was the year when they met in the championship game, right?
It was. And then, of course, the Cardinals got revenge.
Yeah.
What I remember is that, Donovan gets benched at halftime. Kevin Cobb comes into the game. It was 10-7 when he came into the game, and it was 22-7 at one point. But then Kevin led a really good offensive drive down to the Baltimore 1-yard line. So you're thinking a touchdown here.
Oh, no,
it's a 22-14, and it's a one-possession game. But Ed Reed had some other ideas when he jumped in front of it in back of the end zone and took it back, I think, 105 yards at him for an interception.
I could still see it. Poor Kevin. I got to know Kevin a little bit when he was here. And that, it's they were so high on him at one point. They were absolutely certain he was going to be the guy for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And by stroke of luck, they only did a 1-year extension for $10 million. They got very lucky. They didn't give him a huge deal back then, and whatever the hell it was coming out of lockout. No, they traded him coming out of lockout. But when they did his extension prior to the 10 season, they're very lucky because they were bullish on him, but they could not agree on the money for the future.
Right.
Sometimes you get lucky that you only do a 1-year extension, but Kevin's a good dude. He ended his career through concussion issues, but I'm totally. I actually checked into him about a couple months ago. He's actually doing pretty well physically.
Oh, good. I know he's had some, the headaches and everything like that. Yep. So it's good to hear that he's doing well. I also really just remember the next day, Andy Reid having a press conference, and just like you set up with the context, they drafted Cobb in the second round. He was kind of considered at the time the successor. He started to look like he was going to lead the team back, and everybody
Can I tell you a story about that real quick? In 2007, I'm at the draft. I'm sitting behind Mike Doherty, the video guy who would hand the card in.
Love Mike.
And I just happened to see him get up, and he walked by me. It's not like I knew that he was going to walk by me. And I saw the name, Cobb. And I couldn't. I was like, "Oh my God!" This is before you could text.
Right.
I said I tried to process it as quickly as I could, and I was like, and I fast forward to now with Hurts. Do you remember in 2007? Were they hot on Cobb? I don't remember the story. I don't remember now.
I don't remember. At the time, but
were you surprised by that in 2007? Was everyone surprised?
Yes, that was a surprise. Remember, they didn't have a first round pick, or did they trade out?
I don't.
They traded out of the first round with Dallas. Mm-hmm. Dallas, of all teams, they traded out of the first round, and then drafted Kevin Cobb in the second round. Isn't that unbelievable?
Yeah, I couldn't even. The Hurts one, it was so funny because we haven't talked about this since it happened, but I have the sound down. I'm texting and tweeting and talking to people around the league, getting reaction to their picks, what they think about them. And then the guy goes, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." And I knew that was the Eagles were up. And I look, I'm like, "Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is no. They didn't do this."
Yeah, you and a million other people.
And I go, "Is this the next Taysom Hill?" That's when I put the Taysom Hill people people came at me on Twitter like I'm an asshole. I don't know what I'm talking about. How would you say that? You don't know anything. I'm like, I'm just telling you, this kid could. I get their different body types, but anyway, ironically, they might be playing against. What are the chances of that? It looks like they might be starting against.
I know. How about that? Very interesting.
Anyway,
real quick to finish off, the next day, Andy Reid said Donovan's my quarterback, and everybody was surprised because again, Cobb was drafted second round, thought he was going to be this was going to be it, and then Andy said no, we just needed Donovan to take a step back, and as you mentioned, he started 4 days later after his benching. He's Thanksgiving night. And he throws 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. They rout the Cardinals and then wind up getting back to the playoffs in the conference championship.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a question. It's sort of like, doesn't Wentz have to be pissed off? Like, okay, so Donovan, I remember how upset he was. I remember distinctly how pissed off he was about it.
Yes, he was very upset.
Okay. Now, I know Carson has been into this funk. Mentally, there's no question. He has not been himself. Just watching him, body language and all that. But now that he's been embarrassed by being pulled, he was benched in that game. Now he's not starting, and it might be for the rest of the season. We'll see. Shouldn't he be super pissed off right now?
Yes and no. I don't think he should be. I don't think he should be pissed off per se that there's going to be somebody else playing quarterback because for 8, 9, 12 weeks now, it's been pretty bad. But he should be, I think, pissed off by many of the decisions and the context made that led to having a very leaky offensive line that's gotten him hit a lot. He should be very upset about maybe even the use of a second-round pick on a quarterback instead of another kind of player, either offensive or defensive weapon. He could be very upset about the route concepts that we talk about week after week, and they don't necessarily cater the offense to his strengths all the time. But, I want to be fair because you and I talk about this a lot. There's a lot of looking in the mirror that Carson has to do. So if he's going to be pissed off, he should be mad at himself also for some of his inability to be receptive to coaching, to make certain changes that could have helped them avoid hits. We talked earlier in the season about not throwing.
When you say wait a minute, back up. When you say not being receptive to coaching, what do you mean by that?
Have we not talked about, the fact that they've got to coach him and he's got to see some of those outlets that were there for him?
I see what you mean. Okay. Well, It's not like they're not coaching him. He's just not. And I get what you mean by being receptive. Something's not happening. Like it's not the message. We've used this before. Is the message being received? Well, we would say we question that because if they have to tell him they're watching the tape and they're showing it to him and he knows it, why isn't he doing it?
Right. That's what I'm getting.
Got you.
Is the message being received? Is my
right.
way
I want to make sure
people
understand. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
No problem.
All right. So that's we'll get into a lot of things. Before we get into breaking down the tape, I want to get into some of the transactions that have happened that are not related to the quarterback. Also want to tell people, make sure you're checking out PHLSportsNation.com. They are covering the Eagles, the Sixers, the Phillies, the Flyers, and the Union like nobody else does, enhancing the fan experience with their fantastic content and podcasts and all of their great coverage. Check them out on Twitter also at PHL Sports Nation. And right now we'll pause real quick for another word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. All right, Adam, there were a few moves made by the Eagles in the last few days that are, sort of significant. They did sign a linebacker from the Saints practice squad.
Of course.
Is that one of those strategic things where now they know?
I haven't checked. I never heard of this Joe Bocce.
Never heard of Joe Bocce?
I don't play bocce anymore. Haven't played it in 25. Different spelling, though. That's B-O-C-C-E. But I never heard of this guy. Sorry, folks. I generally will come with knowledge on stuff, but I just don't know.
I know him because he's Big Ten. He's Michigan State.
Okay, right. I know he went to Michigan State. Oh, no, I do know. He's not real big. He's smaller than average size.
Well, duh. He's an Eagles linebacker.
Of course. Right. Sorry. I should know better. Duh. Yeah, you're right. Jamon Brown, our friend Derek on First reported the what a crazy story gets thrown out of the team hotel.
Yeah. Well, there's only a few things you can do to get thrown out of a team hotel on the road, so you can imagine.
Good luck trying to get back from Green Bay, man. You got to take 2 planes if you're not going with the team.
Yeah, that's right.
And with COVID too, who the hell knows? Well, he didn't get released till Monday, so anyway.
Correct. So yeah, that happened. Listen, they said it was for conduct detrimental to the team, and I'm not the first person to make this joke. But that first start he had against the Ravens was conduct detrimental to the team.
Of course.
Right? Certainly conduct detrimental to Carson Wentz.
Yes, it was. So, that was one of the worst offensive line performances other than Winston Justice that we've ever seen.
It was just hideous.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it was bad. The memes, in fact, the funny thing was on Jamon Brown in that game, the memes from former NFL linemen were making fun of him. They're like, what the hell is this? Like, is this really funny?
Well, what do you think was worse, the play where he sacked Carson Wentz, or the play where he was adjusting his gloves while Carson Wentz was getting sacked? Which one of those?
Was it Trey, or was our good friend Trey Thomas? Was someone I think it was Trey.
It was Trey.
Him or Jamal Jackson who pointed that out. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah,
what a season it's been for the Eagles. God.
Yeah, it really has. That's about Eagles 2020 in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Bocce obviously gets signed because they're down. As we talked about during the Fanatic show, when Lane Johnson tweeted the picture of himself and Nate Gary sharing not sharing the beds, but beds side by side as they both had procedures done. So I guess Bocce is their 6th linebacker now.
Well, yeah, you would have to assume Gary's not coming back this season. So
you would have to, yeah.
And I don't know why he's having his surgery now, but instead of weeks when he first got hurt. But anyway, look, they're down a couple linebackers actually now. They've got TJ Edwards who's hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it did sound like they expect him
got
to
a
be
chance. Yeah, but again, he does have an injury though. They got to be careful. They got to have someone who could come in. And who was the other?
And Davion Taylor, the rookie.
He's done for a while. Yeah, in fact, with only 4 games left, I'd be very surprised if you saw him again.
I agree.
Which hurts on specials and is a sub-package linebacker. The little he's been playing anyway, but he can run. So yeah, okay. And plus they get this kid who knows the Saints offense. So okay, I'm sure that I love when teams will deny this to me. Oh no, there's just nothing to do with it. Yeah, right. Okay, just the coincidence. Come on.
Right. No, I think the Taylor thing though it's not significant as far as what they're missing, but you kind of I would get the feeling that if the Eagles lose to the Saints and Washington, the Giants keep winning, and you're technically in it, but that you're just really not in it.
Oh, it's evaluation mode.
Yeah, yeah, it would have been nice, and he won't be able to get that. And this is a guy that really needs to get out there and learn. So the fact that he won't be able to do that is yet another kind of disappointment for 2020. We'll move on. They did sign another corner to the practice squad, Lavert Hill. Do you know anything about
Nothing. I know he's an undrafted free agent because this is what they want to do. Mm-hmm. They want to start looking at players next year over the next 3 to 4 weeks. So if they like them, they'll sign what's called a reserve future contract.
Right.
And Eagles typically sign these guys in the offseason. They want to bring them back. This is what the evaluation will be. They either sign them from other practice squads. You start rating other practice squads now. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if they can't rate guys who are protected, they could look at the other guys on rosters and maybe they like this kid Bocce. So we'll learn more for Friday show. We'll certainly have more on that. And they protected Howard and Rick Owens. By the way, Jordan Howard looked good. The 11-yard run was beautiful. Good cutback.
Yeah,
they're pretty happy. In fact, they protected him. That's how much they liked him. So they were happy with him. And I'll be honest with you, he ought to. I know people don't want to hear this over at Boston Scott. I'm playing him over Boston Scott in terms of running the football. I would do that.
That's fine. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, people like Boston Scott, and it's fine. But he's a number 3 running back. He's not a 2.
Yeah, I agree with that. And he's a guy you want to use as a changeup more so than a between the
and outside formation. He ran a wheel. It was incomplete, unfortunately. But
I thought there was contact on that. By the way,
that really pass was not. There were some bad passes by Wentz in that game. Were not accurate.
Mm-hmm.
John Hightower in particular bothered me. I mean, folks, I was. Geoff and I talked to people during the week, so I talked to a couple of people watching the Eagles tape on Monday or Tuesday, it was. But one guy said, you got to watch Wentz's feet on the overthrow to Hightower. So I actually watched it on Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God, his feet are so far. They're just so bad.
The overstriding, yeah.
Yeah, it just pains me. How does this happen?
I don't know, but I really do look forward to the discussion. Whatever happens. We can't control that. I don't like guys losing their jobs or things like that. I'm just talking about you and I really getting into at some point in the offseason, who is in charge of rebuilding Carson Wentz? People are asking us now.
Number one story. It is
we can look at the future. We have no idea.
Great point, though. That's the number one story for this football team.
Right.
In addition to, if Pederson coming back and all that, who is going to fix this quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
And how are they going to do it?
It's going to be the storyline of the
and rebuild him. Sorry, fixing. I hate the term fixing. That just means it could break. Who's going to rebuild? He needs to be rebuilt, not fixed.
I totally agree.
That's how much the regression has been.
Right. Because you want to get him to the point where after you've rebuilt him, you don't need to do it again. That's just fixing, and then it breaks again, then you fix it. Right? You got to make sure that this thing sticks. Yep. I agree. All right. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and make sure you use promo code ITB to get all of your sign-up bonuses. That's right, ITB. Promo code ITB to get all your sign-up bonuses only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's get into the tape review. We will start with Eagles offense versus the Green Bay defense. And, Adam, I told you, I warned you about this going into this podcast. Right. I'm going to sound off, man. I got a lot of issues with Doug.
Why don't we start with you? So what are your issues with that game?
All right. Let's first acknowledge this. The Jalen Hurts being in the game in the second half was not a surprise, correct? Is that fair to say? You were not surprised?
No, God, I said to you in text, I turned out to be wrong. I said, here comes Jalen Hurts to start the second half.
Right.
And I see Wentz walk out. I'm like, why are you doing this?
Right.
This makes no sense.
Right. And there was a chance it could have happened last week if they really were getting the game really out of hand.
Look. Again, no one told me this.
Mm-hmm.
I thought if Wentz did not have that final drive, that 2 minute in the 2-minute offense,
mm-hmm.
that touchdown, they missed the extra point. But if they would against Seattle,
right,
I thought for sure he'd be pulled.
Right. So I bring that up to say, like, Jalen Hurts being in the game was not a surprise to Doug Pederson. In the back of his mind, he had to know that this was very possibly going to happen. And if you're going to have that happen, in my opinion, and I've run this through some other people and they agree with me, that you would at least maybe have some specific plays ready that you think tap into Jalen Hurts' strengths, whether it's some RPOs, as you mentioned before, some short stuff, some read option, things like that, to get him in the flow of the game easily. All right? I didn't see any of that. People talk about rollouts. Some of those plays, it's hard to say if it was a designed rollout or if it was Hurts rolling out himself. People make it seem like Doug drew up like 1,100 rollouts for Jalen Hurts and didn't do that for Carson Wentz. And I did not see that. So,
you know this town, man.
Yeah,
fans
yeah,
are funny.
I know.
We love them, but they're very funny.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's not just fans; it's radio people that just throwing shit out there. Like,
yeah, there's just a lot of
conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
They're bringing all sorts of stuff up now. It's just come on.
So my biggest issue is, as I watched the tape, but specifically with Jalen Hurts' focus is that, my God, he ran the same offensive concepts with Jalen Hurts that have been failing all year. And we've talked about it. Yes, he does get guys open. You know, that it's a little bit overstated that Doug doesn't get his receivers open, but his offense is so damn vertical. Even if there's a crosser, it's one guy crossing and three verticals. And if the team's got one or two linebackers playing a zone, that crosser isn't really going to help you all that much. Vertical, 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 Adam. I went through play after play, and you'll see sometimes guys get open at the top of the route 20 yards downfield. But when your offensive line has not protected all year long, what do you expect a quarterback to be able to do when the route doesn't open up until 5 seconds into the play? All vertical, vertical, vertical.
I said it on our last show. I said that, and I was watching TV. I'm like, why am I seeing a lot of vertical routes? Why aren't you running? Now I will say there weren't a lot of them, but Hightower dropped a crosser. His hands. Wentz put it right on him. He dropped it.
Yep.
They did tighter splits this game. Not as many as they need to do, but they did some at least. Mm-hmm. But you're right overall. The offensive play design is broken. It's been broken all season.
So here's one thing that really stuck out to me, Adam.
Go ahead.
I didn't notice a whole lot of variance on – I looked at some first downs, 1st and 10, and then I would look at like say a 2nd and long or a 3rd and long, and not a whole lot of variance. And I keep thinking, why are you running the same kind of plays on 1st and 10 when you need 10 but not changing it up when you only need 3? There was a 3rd and 4 where they ran with Hurts in the game where it was all vertical. There was literally one – no. Actually,
right?
There wasn't even one. There was one where it was so vertical that there was no outlet near the sticks just to be the safe first down.
I'll take your word for it. I wasn't told that, but I'm sure you saw it. No, you saw it.
Yeah, I mean, I could like tweet it out if I had.
I believe you. No, that's painful to me hearing that. I mean, that's just bad. That's just coaching malfeasance right there. That's just awful.
I mean, it should have been done with Carson earlier this year. We've talked about where's the slants. Now, for example, another thing, and I'll let you go. But
sure.
There were plenty of plays where the Packers would play off coverage by a good.
They're soft. I told you they're a soft defense, man.
So why doesn't the head coach notice that and say, all right, that's where we hit him with a slant. That's where the communication between the wide. That's what Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams did to the Eagles all game long.
Oh, they got him on a smoke. Do you see? They ran smoke. They wanted at least one smoke.
How hard is that to do? How hard is that not to see?
I don't know, man. I'm at a loss for this season and the play calling. I mean, our good friend Bill Osborne Billy was with us the first year we did the show, and Bill had some issues with the play calling. I was late to that game and criticizing the coaches with this stuff, but this is every week there are issues with the play calling, the offensive scheme. It's not me really. I'm speaking through other people, the other people who watch from other teams, and they're telling me this shit every week. I'm sorry to curse, but it bothers me. I'm with Geoff on this. It's embarrassing.
Right.
Now, did they do some pre-snap motion? Yeah, they had an end around, which was nice to Rager for 10 or 11 yards.
Right. Not a whole lot of it. Like
they also had one where Rager ran into Boston Scott in the first quarter.
Yeah.
They had some pre-snap motion a little bit, but they're so late to this game. They're so late to everything, and I have no idea why they're actually doing it now. I don't know who got into whose ear. Who the hell knows at this point with this football team? There's so many problems going on with the play calling, and too many voices. When people would ask us this stuff early in the season, there's no way to know that because it's too early. Because people are saying there's too many people in Carson's ear, and I couldn't answer it. I don't know, but just getting back to the play calling. We were sent a lot of ideas. We were talking to certain people, and we were told this is going to happen, that is going to happen, and never happened.
Right.
This has been the season of stuff you're hearing. Mm-hmm. I mean, people they would know because they're the people we talk to should know.
Right.
And it's not their fault. It's just that the coaches didn't do the stuff.
Right.
And you've seen every report that the owner's pissed off, and we had our own reporting, all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
this is what happens when coaches lose their way and the head coach doesn't manage his coaches well, which is a fact we've been talking now for 3 years. We seem to be the only people who are on this, by the way. I don't know why. You talk to the right people, you'll get your answer.
There you go.
This is coaching. This is coaching 101. Coach your goddamn coaches, man.
Yeah,
learn what they do.
Yeah, I just can't take Doug off the hook for what happened.
No, he's had a bad year.
I can't put it all on Carson.
No, Carson. I hate to say this, it's not nice, but he deserved to get benched. He was awful.
Yeah.
He's
but if your offensive line cannot hold block for more than 2.5 seconds, then don't ask your receiver
to run
25-yard routes.
Now, I'll defend Pederson only one time. There are too many throws in every game he holds on to the ball too long, where he should have gotten it out and there are guys open. There were guys open in this game.
Yes. I did want to bring that up on Hurts. That I don't know what you were told, and we'll get into that. But
Hurts missed a pass target on the left, wide open, would have been a touchdown. Maybe you remember who it was.
Yes, it was actually Alshon. I think it was Alshon.
Was it? Okay, I can't remember.
He also missed Hightower on another play, wide open on the right side.
Yeah. Carson, this is what happens with quarterbacks. Kevin Cobb went through it. This is when quarterbacks don't see the field clearly. They just
real quick. Were you talking about the one that he threw high that Greg Ward jumped for?
No. There was a Hightower 82 on the left side.
Yeah.
That was the guy my buddy told me, because you got to see this play, how bad the footwork was with Wentz.
Right.
So I made sure Tuesday night to watch it. And I was like, oh, my God, look at his feet.
Yeah.
The feet tell you everything. It makes the ball sail. He's not squared up. It's embarrassing.
Right. What kind of information did you get? I'm curious on the rollout, the 42-yard pass from Wentz to Goddard, because in some angles it looks like it should have been a touchdown, but Carson kind of floated it over, and
but again,
Dallas tripped. That didn't help.
Yes, that hurt, and also the one where Carson threw across his body. That actually was a good throw. I know people are saying, "Oh, didn't have a lot of juice on it," folks. Do you know how hard that throw is to make?
Right, because he was going all the way across his body.
Yeah, he threw across the field. Look, Carson's not special anymore. We all know that, but when he was special. In 17 in particular, in 18 he was good, not great, and we know 19 and 20 were not, particularly this season. But when he was special, he would make throws that most guys would never even attempt. Though, like Josh Allen's doing now. Josh Allen,
yeah,
I have some man love with this guy. I mean,
he deserves
watching him. I can't believe. Folks, just to know what special quarterback play is, watch about 5 or 6 throws. Now he did set his feet because I watched it pretty closely. He's got a howitzer. He's got a stronger arm than than Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
Few quarterbacks in the National Football League willing to do what they can't, because their arms are not strong enough. Even the guys who have strong arms won't do it. Wentz was doing shit in 17 where you go, oh my God, this guy's special. Like, you cannot believe it. I remember Joe Banner and I had an argument over this in 16. The pass to Macklin, was it, when Carson's first game over the middle? Or was it? No, maybe you. I think you said
Jordan Matthews.
Jordan Matthews, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Joe and I argued, and I actually asked the Eagles. They said absolutely they would not have recommended it, but Carson thought he could do it, and they had no problem with it. Now, Joe, in hindsight, might have been right, but only special throwers will do that. No, when Carson was special,
right? And
when you're not special, you don't even pull the trigger, and that's what happened here.
Right, definitely. So, Hurts, and I'm not going to knock him. It's his first extended playing time, and I'm sure they'll go through the tape and watch it all week long. But there were some guys. He ran a lot because A, the offensive line is the offensive line, but B, he just didn't see some guys open. So
exactly. That's going to happen.
Yeah,
because remember, as a backup quarterback with the Eagles, you don't get any work with ones ever, unless it's
right.
In his case, he had to because there was a Hurts package. But most teams never give the number 2 quarterback reps. They just don't do that.
Right.
But although I'm told Nick Foles did, he got between 3 and 5 reps with a first-team offense, just because that's what they believed back then.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, moving this forward here, I'll say this one: the pass to Rager was phenomenal. He 1-2 back foot out. That was a great throw, great timing throw, and how about Jalen's route there? He used leverage and his arm. If you slow it down on the all 22,
thank you. I love that you're bringing.
And
this
I
up.
didn't know that. Again, I asked one of my guys. I said, "Give me everything you got, good or bad. I want it all."
Yep.
And he goes, watch the kid. What's his number 2? Is that his number?
Yeah, Hurts, number 2.
He goes, watch 2 throw it to 18.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, he goes, wait till you see him drill it. I'm like, okay. He goes, watch him use his hands. 18 use his hands to push away Kevin King.
Yeah, it was like an arm over move. Yeah, it was really nice.
Good. And twice he used his arm twice in that play. So that look, that was positive. I know it's been a tough going for Rigger. That's a real positive. We know about the punt return. That's a great because you want him. You know this, and I know this about Rager. He's incredibly strong. He's jacked up. Like that's why I'm told that shoulder injury probably would have been a 4 to 6 week injury had he not been so strong upper shoulders and body.
Yeah.
So that actually helped him. So it sure as hell helped him on this play, man. He did a great job there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think one of the things that we probably will look forward to most this weekend against the Saints is to see that if with Jalen Hurts in the game, if Jalen Reagor can become more involved, and if they can get him I've consistently told that they try to get this guy at least 6 to 8 touches a game, and sometimes it just can't happen.
Oh, Reagor, really? And that's interesting. Here's what I would think all year. Yeah. Here's what I think about that. And this is also going to help Miles Sanders. The one thing that coaches have always told me over the years, when you have a really good running quarterback, well, we'll see how good this kid is, but when you have a running quarterback, because this is what happened with Baltimore last year. You're so scared of the running quarterback, it helps guys like Mark Ingram with Baltimore, Gus Edwards, which is happening now on Tuesday night with Dallas when Lamar was doing well. It really does help your running backs because you're so focused on who's going to get the ball and RPOs. And the one thing that Wentz really struggled with the RPOs is hiding the football well. He didn't do it very well. Like Nick Foles did it well. I'm told that Wentz is not great at it. But remember, this quarterback, Hurts, has tremendous experience with it at Oklahoma and Alabama. So the hope is here that it'll help Sanders because it's going to help everybody if he starts running really well. And plus, the other thing is with Hurts is, remember, before Jalen became a starter, he worked the number 2s with Hurts in practice.
Right. So you have to think that they've had a little bit of a symmetry and rhythm going on together. Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be hard because it's the Saints defense, but I really do look forward to potential of a relationship, an on-field connection relationship between the two Jalens. The first and second round pick would be interesting. You mentioned Miles Sanders. I mean, you also hope that maybe this change in offense or even what they're facing on Sunday with the Saints allows Doug to just focus a little more on the run. He's not worried now about trying to get Carson in a rhythm.
He can't run again. Yeah, I agree with your assessment, but the Saints have the NFL's best run defense. I mean,
they're good.
It's amazing. Rankins, their D tackle had been out for several weeks. It didn't help him. I think he's back now, but but they got to do it. They got to make him comfortable. He's kid who's making his first NFL start. He was not expected to play this year, obviously, and he is.
Right.
And you got to make him comfortable. Whatever it takes to make him comfortable, the coach has got to do a good job and do it. And this one guy said absolutely RPOs, expects it to come here based on his scouting of the player leading up to this year's draft. So we'll see what happens there. And by the way, before we move to defense, the O-line issues were on Wentz. A lot of it. Wentz had this bad habit when the pocket got muddied. I don't want to say he seemed confused. He just didn't have the sense of where to go when he was special. Remember the rugby scrum against Washington 2 years ago, or 3 years ago in 2017? We're like, okay, he's going down, and he didn't. And he just came out. He somehow came out of that circle, and he made the crazy play. He's just not. He wasn't seeing it. He didn't feel the pocket. One person said to me of the 2 back-to-back sacks, one was on him, and the other one was kind of on the offensive line. But man, when you're struggling at quarterback, man, nothing. You just don't see it.
No. And we talked about seeing the field clearly or getting a clear picture, and that just wasn't happening. All right, so offensive line, Mailata, though, we should point out, he seemed to play very well in that game. Jordan,
he was
Mailata.
solid. I had one guy say he didn't think he was quite as good as last week. He gave up 1 sack in this game, I believe. But, look, he's a player, man. They're going to wind up getting this right. Because if he's this good right now, and on a 10-point scale, let's say he's a 6, right?
Yeah.
This guy never played football until 3 years ago in his life. He didn't know what it was.
Right.
This is why you take a flyer on a kid. You see it through.
Sure.
You get through all his back injuries and you let him play. They should have been doing this months ago, man. You and I after the season, so we got to take our listeners' pet peeves. Everyone's pet peeves of this coaching staff. Try to be calm about it. We don't have
like a 3-hour podcast.
Right, exactly. No, but I want all of us. I want to take everyone's top 10 pet peeves, try to clean it up for air. Of course, 3 times on this one, but we're going to do that at the end of the season. We want to, we'll probably put it on our Twitter account and just copy and paste and start reading it on our show. Because
Yeah.
I got mine, man. We've given out a lot of it, but I got some I haven't used yet.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, okay. I look forward to doing that.
Pet peeve.
All right. We'll move on to the defense in a second. First, if you're looking for the ultimate stocking stuffer for this holiday season, look no further because our sponsors, Manscaped, have the tools to make you win this year's stocking stuffer or white elephant competition. Manscaped is the only brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene products. And, of course, I keep saying it, they've got products across Europe, Canada, and down under Australia. All right, it's the holidays, so you guys know you want to impress your ladies over the holidays, and maybe you don't have, the most extravagant gift like a new car or, the most fancy jewelry. You just get yourself some male grooming.
Hey.
And you'll see how they thank you.
Hey now.
A few of Manscaped's products, Adams, are pretty good stocking stuffers. You got, the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, and obviously the name speaks for itself on that. The Ball Toner that we talk about all the time, the Crop Reviver, the little spray-on toner. That fits in a stocking very nicely. You've got the Crop Cleanser Body Wash, a little full body wash that you can use on your hair. You got the Crop Mop Ball Wipes. Which, all these things are very easily packaged and put inside a nice little stocking, including the foot duster, foot deodorant, which is designed to keep your stinky feet smelling fresh. And now, we haven't talked about this. They have the Shears 2.0, a luxury 4-piece nail kit, all right? So if you like to – we don't really talk about that. I don't know if you got bad cuticles and things like that. You got to get this 4-piece luxury nail kit. Of course, there's the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer, which provides –
I need that.
You do. Which provides proprietary skin-safe technology. Get rid of those nasty hairs.
Watch it, jerk.
I know. And listen,
I know. I'm messing with you.
Here's what else you need.
Dude, you don't understand. I get picked on religiously by John Hansen on our fantasy show. I've been doing it for 17 years. Dude, he kills me. And I take it like a man. I sit there. Our listeners love it when I get picked on. I like to laugh, man. I don't take anything personally ever.
Awesome. Because as badly as you need the Weed Whacker for your nose and ear hair, Adam, what you really need is the Lawnmower 3.0. So I've heard.
Hey,
the trimmer with the replaceable ceramic blade with advanced
as you get older,
technology.
Folks, as you get older, you got to trim those nose hairs, though. I'm aware of my ear hair. I get it. Trust me.
Definitely got to. I'm getting them in myself.
You're getting close to me, man, in age. Come on, man. Let's get with it.
I'm trying not to, but I'm getting there. By the way, for those like Adam Caplan, these formulations are all vegan. Cruelty. You're not vegan. You're a vegetarian.
I'm mostly vegan. I have pizza once actually twice a week. I don't eat meat. I don't have sugar in anything other than there's chocolate covered pretzels that
Cheryl's pretzels? Those were awesome. Cheryl's.
What was the woman's name that sent us those?
Cheryl's
Place, yes.
Cheryl's Place. Well, yeah.
Oh my God, they're so good.
Yeah.
With the peanut butter on them, and
God,
I don't have sugar, so I got a little bit of sugar high. But they were so good. So what I do is I only have one pretzel a day.
There you go.
So I limit myself. You got to have self-control, folks.
I had only one an hour or two when I got them, so that was fun.
Okay. In an hour or two, did you say?
Yeah, one every 2 hours.
Oh my God. Dude, how could that get? It's crazy. All right, be careful.
I'm kidding. I didn't eat that many, but I did devour them though. Anyway, get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Use that promo code ITB, whether it's for your partner, your dad, your brother, your friend. Get them something that they'll use and almost sure to get a good laugh at it as well. 20% off, free shipping, great stocking stuffers at manscaped.com using that promo code ITB. Be the ballsiest gift giver this holidays with Manscaped.
Nice.
All right. The Eagles defense, the defensive line. Hey, we saw a Javon Hargrave sack. That was pretty cool.
He's getting better, man. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
He's getting better. Each week he shows up more. This is such a hard challenge for all those guys because it's quick draw McGraw. Nobody has a faster release than Rodgers.
Right.
That's why he doesn't get sacked very much because he negates the pass rush by getting it out quickly.
Yep.
They got to him early in the game, as you saw, man. I was like, wow, this is almost hard to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then second quarter he took over and it was over. But look, he's the best quarterback in the National Football League right now. He's headed for 48 touchdown passes. It's just ridiculous.
He is a golden god.
And it's funny. Before the season started, I said I had never seen him so fantasy irrelevant last year.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no reason to think that he would get it together. But what I should have learned is second year in the system, Matt LaFleur's system, his West Coast system is different than McCarthy's. And boy, they had simpatico here. But The thing that was interesting is they really shut down Aaron Jones until the 77-yard run. But they did a great job. I mean, they really did. But the run fits were great.
Mm-hmm.
One of the linebackers did not fit it right on his 77-yard run, unfortunately.
Was Edwards out of the game at that point?
I don't remember who it was on, but
right.
I know that's what happened on that play. And also, Tanyan got him, who was my player of the game going in. He got Alex.
He got Singleton. Now, Singleton came right because if you remember, Rodgers is flushed out of the pocket, and he starts to look like he's going to run. So Singleton kind of comes up to play it, and then Rodgers flicks it. But I still think Singleton was way too aggressive in trying to play the Rodgers run. So he let Tanyan get way behind him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Tanyan is such an athlete. I mean, he's going to – the Eagles in recent weeks have been really good against the tight end, but not here.
But we did predict this.
The awful Mercedes Lewis, when they didn't cover him, he ran for – like they just assumed because he only blocks these days.
Yep.
They just didn't cover him for that 36-yard play.
Yeah. We did kind of predict in our Friday pod last week that, while the linebackers have been stable, that this is going to be difficult for them because they're going to have to worry about the Rodgers scramble and the overall running game and Aaron Jones out of the backfield a little bit, and then have to match up with Tanyan as well. And it wasn't a lot. You're right. It's not like they got torched a lot by Tanyan, but that was a big touchdown, and that was a big play and way out of position.
It got to be frustrating for the Eagles when they get off to this great start. They got the first couple series, they were really good, and then the dam started breaking.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't score. It just was one thing after another. And I'll say this: their defense got pressure early. They did get to Rodgers occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened was the Packers lost their juice in the fourth quarter, and the Eagles defense hung in there. But of course, then they gave the 77-yard run, which iced the game.
Right.
But their defense is getting back. See, the thing with the Eagles defense is this: they're good enough now to keep their team in the game, but they're not a shutdown defense. They'll never be a shutdown defense because they don't create turnovers.
Right. And you do wonder, as they played three safeties, right? They played Epps as a pass defender, and they played Wallace as a run defender, which is something they were doing earlier in the year when they had some
how about
injuries.
that? They did it again, right.
And I couldn't help but think of when we had Quentin Michael on ITB TV, a former Eagles safety who was very good safety. And he said, you can get away with that a little bit, but then all of a sudden you become telegraphic when your personnel dictates to the offense what you're going to be strong at. So when the offense sees that Epps is in there, they know that they're not as stout against the run. And then when they see that Wallace is in there, they may check into a pass because they know that Wallace right now is not a great coverage safety. So I wonder how long that they're going to kind of do this dance. And, this is the stuff that Sean Payton lives off, like picking apart those kind of matchups and
he went
checking in and checking
Jones.
out and attacking that.
Yeah,
so.
He's great. He's a special play caller. He's all about matchups and this is where the target is going to be on this guy.
Right.
Here, Michael Thomas is a great player, but he's not explosive. Slay should not have Slay. I know Slay's beat up physically with a calf and a knee injury, but they think he's going to be able to play.
Mm-hmm.
He should not have a major problem. Just keep him in front of you.
Well, that's the thing. Michael Thomas is good for catching 8 or 9 passes for 10 or 11 yards and getting like 100 yards. But yeah. You worry more about him in the red zone, really. I mean, you'll give up the underneath.
Jared Cook
on
vertical routes because that's all he really does. Is that's been his deal is slants.
Right.
That and then
obviously you have to worry a little bit about Traquan Smith.
Yeah, he can run. The kid
Emmanuel
Callaway's hurt. Unfortunately, he's on IR.
Right.
But
is Sanders healthy? Emmanuel Sanders?
Yeah. Yes, I believe so. Wait, he was on COVID.
Right. I just didn't know if he
weeks ago. Yeah,
okay.
I thought he was back. I thought he was back. I will check. Yes, he is. He played last week. Yeah, he's back.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Look, this past game, the defense hung in there. I thought they gave up 30+. I thought this was going to be a scary game. I thought they hung in there. Okay, they gave up 30. It wasn't quite the way they did it, like you thought. They got off to a good start, gave up no points in the first quarter.
Right.
But they had too many mental errors to win this game.
Right. And it's also hard when you have a non-functional offense and you're out there.
It is, exactly.
A minute and a half.
It's tough, man. They're in a tough way here.
It is. I don't like to give them reprieves because they haven't been a very good defense all year long, but I do. There are some what do they call it? Some kind of factors. I can't think of the word right now. Extraneous factors that don't exactly favor them. So yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's about it that's it with the tape breakdown. Obviously,
really nothing. Yeah. So the positives were clearly Reagor. Punt return, he muffed it, of course. He is one of the most unique, explosive receivers I've ever seen.
Right.
It's like he glides on air, like the way he runs. It's really unique. But his acceleration is special.
Mm-hmm.
I really encourage you to watch the punt return on all 22. It'll blow your mind. Someone put me up to it to watch it.
Yeah.
He's something else. His explosiveness, I see what the Eagles saw.
Yeah.
Look, let's put the Justin Jefferson stuff aside, folks. That's over and done with. It's like I've often talked about this with people. I've said, listen, that's over. Think of it like Graham and JPP. Forget about the safety who's going to Earl Thomas. Okay.
Yeah.
JPP had Brandon Graham for several years. Brandon overtook him once he matured and started to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
He's a better football player than JPP. I don't think it's even close. JPP's a good player, though. I'll give him credit for all
he's a good player. Yeah. Yeah.
But Brandon Graham's a stud. I mean, Pro Bowl's a popularity contest. The guy's a great football player.
Correct. I agree. And I look, and I'm not trying to sound like an apologist because it doesn't really matter to me, but I don't think Justin Jefferson in the Eagles offense this year is having 100-yard games left and right.
Totally agree with you.
I think he's lost the sauce the way everybody else is.
By the way, the Vikings defense has been bad because they're secondary. They're throwing way more than they want to.
Yeah.
And Cousins is having a really good season, but But I love watching Jefferson. I cannot believe how well he runs on the outside. It's fun to watch him.
Well, that's
I'm not an Eagles fan. I don't have any, have any voice in it.
Right.
But I'm trying to cool some of my friends who are season ticket holders down. I'm like, look, feel good about this past game with Reagor. The Eagles know what they have in this kid. He just has to stay on the field and run better routes, and which he did in this game. You love how he fought for that 39-yard catch. You love the Hurts touchdown pass to Ward. Greg Ward's a good football player.
He is a good. He's a smart football player. He knows exactly what he needs to do to attack leverages and get open, and he is fun to watch. I enjoy watching.
So there's some positives, and you know what?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Geoff. I'm not expecting a good game, and we'll preview on Friday. I'm not expecting Hurts to play well, but you know what? It's something different, and celebrate that. That's why you absolutely should watch. I know you're going to. This is what the beauty of this quarterback change is. People are going to be excited again until if you don't play well, okay. But watch it.
True indeed. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. Thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. Check him out on YouTube. It's called Sports Talk with Broads, and make sure you're checking him out on Twitter as well, @Broads81. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the Birds.